Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Donna D, aka the Urban Mommy, and I am here with another podcast. Today, we have a very good topic for all of those, especially those who are in New Orleans and those who are in love with New Orleans. I have a lot of followers who are not from here and they love everything about the culture. So, today, I have with me Tamika, and she is involved in everything in the culture. And she is going to discuss. Basically, we're gonna talk about everything. We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff. So, Tamika, can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Yes, I can. How you doing, everybody? My name is Tamika Calvin. You see me a lot on Sundays. Y'all see me out when it have anything to do with the culture. But if you see me in the streets, you could just say, "Hey, Mika." That's what I go by.
Okay, and the funny thing, I just was telling Tamika that I always see her. I see you all the time. In fact, you on some of my videos dancing,
Hmm.
and I don't you. We've never met each other, but when I
Oh,
saw who you were, I said I know that she with the Indians because I know you. I didn't know you had all the kids that you told me, but I remember you have the kids with you, and I know you with the Indians. I remember one of those days was when we had a second line and a St. Joseph night. I remember seeing y'all early in the day, and then y'all was all out with y'all shirts on, and y'all, I think y'all met. Well, y'all did match. I didn't think. All right, so can you tell everybody how you got brought into the culture?
yes. I got brought into the culture in year 2016. I started getting introduced into it because when I was younger, we wasn't allowed to be out there because there was always something going on. So my grandparents that raised me, they didn't allow me to be out there. So the more and more I started to grow and have my own children, things get expensive sometimes. So you look for something to do with your kids that's free. So I'm like, well, we're gonna start going to the second lines. And at the time, that's what we did. We started going to the parades every Sunday, and I met through being outside, and I met through one of my daughter's friends. Her mother was a part of Nine Times Untouchable Divas, and her name was Letitia Marks. She's no longer with us, deceased. So Tish brought me into the culture, and I started being out there with her a whole lot. And I was like, well, wait, how you get in the ropes? Because the sidewalk is cool, but I want to be in the ropes with the clothes on. So my friend brought me into the group, and we decided to I decided to become a member, and I paraded with them in 2019, and then I switched over to Footwork Family. I left the Divas, and I switched over to Footwork Family, which was with Family Ties, and I've been rocking with them.
Okay, so I figured that Footwork Family was a part of that.
Hmm.
I remember the first time I remember seeing the shirts was that year they came out on Broad. That was their first real one on their own type thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right. So what about the Indian culture? When did you get involved in that?
Oh my goodness. I got involved in the Indian culture the same year that I paraded because that's the year that I met my husband. My husband was into the Indian side of it, and I was like, I don't want to do that. That's boring. And he was like, it's not boring. You just got to learn about it. So it started off with me sitting down, helping him sew, helping him get ready for Mardi Gras Day. And we would have these talks, and we would watch these documentaries, which enlightened me into a different side of him, because the Indian him and at home him are two different people.
Different.
That you most definitely have to understand that. So we started going, I started going out with him, and we started going to Indian practice and different Indian events. And I was like, wait, I kind of like this. So I didn't initially get involved. My son got involved first. He was,
Mm.
I don't care what I gotta do. I want to put on. And I'm like, you're not gonna do that. He was like, yes, I am. So we literally would sit at home, and we would have these big sessions where we sat down and we sold together as a family. And that's what the culture is supposed to be about and based
Hmm.
around, is that family foundation, because it's a entity of its own, but it's also a small circle. So anybody that's involved, we consider each other to be family.
Right.
So that's the exciting thing about the culture. And when I got into the Indians, I don't know, that just like lit a whole different fire inside of me. And now I can't get enough of it. every day I'm getting better and better at it. So I'm just working on it, and sooner or later y'all might see me pop out with a suit on.
Uh-oh, because I know you be pretty buck.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Y'all be wild. I remember one of those. It was St. Joseph's night. I remember when I saw y'all. In fact, I think y'all might be on one of my videos I have because I was standing right there where y'all was passing.
In the
And I'm
black
trying
and
to remember. Yeah, y'all had black and red on because
uh-huh.
you and the kids had like on the shirts too. Y'all had like the white shirts with something
Uh-huh.
on it. I
Yeah.
remember that. I think whatever that year was, they had something earlier that day because I remember I saw y'all earlier that day
Yep.
and later.
I think that was it was the second line downtown that day, and then
Yeah,
St. Joseph was uptown that same night.
yeah.
So we
It was
went
something.
from
Yeah, it was something
downtown
like that because I
to
think we was.
the second
Yeah,
line. I mean,
but
to St. Joseph night that night.
St. Joseph
I
was that
remember.
night.
I remember exactly what you're talking about.
But I know y'all was rolling. Now what? And it's good because just like you said, once that suit get on, or once you get in that Indian world, you totally two different people. It's
Yeah.
another world.
Yes, you have to understand the basis of where each culture is founded on because it runs deep. Okay. Now, both of them come from, of course, the transatlantic slave trade. Um, the Africans, when it comes to the second line world, the Africans met Congo Square. We all know that that was the only place on a Sunday where we would stay, where we could go and congregate among each other without being punished or being hurt because we wasn't allowed to congregate with each other. So the slave would be at church while on Sundays. This is what we did. We sang and we danced. So that spirit alone of ancestors that run through our blood, you have to grow here to understand.
Hmm.
And the people who come here who get full off of that culture because it's very rich, it's very real. You can feel that spirit, particularly when you're out there. It's like, whatever you're going through that whole week, you could be beat up, tired, I'm stressed out. But look, see, Sunday when you open your eyes, you know what? It's just something in you that just get up and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go do something. I'm gonna go have a good time today. It's a
Hmm.
lot of days. Well, the week may start off bad, but on Sunday, I'm releasing all of this because I'm
Yeah.
out there. But my ancestors is taking over me, so I'm doing something that they approve of, and you feel the love, you feel the wantingness around because everybody is like on the same page. We're not out there fussing, fighting, arguing. Everybody just want to dance and have a good time, and that's what it's really about. And then when it comes to the Indian culture, you know, Black people got involved with the Native Americans because they hit us when we were runaways.
Hmm.
So we do that to pay homage to those tribes who helped the slaves and who helped the runaways. We pay on Mardi Gras Day, we pay homage to them for helping us. So that's still a whole different type of spirit. So we still are honoring our ancestors. And that's just like any child, when they're doing the right thing, they seek their parents' approval. Well, we have
Hmm.
approval from these ancestors, and you can feel it because the spirit is high, it's rich, and it's really all love. I know a lot of times it seems intense and it can get serious, but at the end of the day, that's just the ancestors doing what they're supposed to
What they
do.
do.
That's being able to let that anger and aggression out in a
Hmm.
healthy way and in a healthy environment. And at the end of this, we're gonna shake hands and we're gonna keep moving.
Right.
And that's what it's about. And I think that's one of the things about New Orleans that we have to really be very careful about and very considerate about, because it's not that we don't want others coming into our culture, but if there's nothing like New Orleans and no place like New Orleans, if everybody is trying to mimic that, let's say another place is successful, we no longer have that.
Right.
And we need that because this city really thrives on our culture. It's nowhere else you could go on a Sunday between August and February and they have a second line up the street. You just don't see that nowhere else. You don't see Mardi Gras Indians. You don't celebrate Mardi Gras the way we celebrate Mardi Gras here in New Orleans. Like there's no place like that. There's no place that could mimic this. And our one of a kindness should be honored, and we should take that very seriously, from our bounce music to everything.
You're right.
This is
And
what makes
I'm
us
glad you brought that up about the where it came from when it came down to the second lines, how they used to go to Congo Square, because a lot of people, sadly, a lot of people who live in New Orleans, they don't even know, they really don't know the history of second lines.
they
Like
don't
they don't realize that it's actually or it's really organized. I mean, it's a Sunday for each, group, and it's a season. It's a everything is organized, but people don't see that.
like this. When football season starts, you start getting ready for second line season, because football season and second line season, they run hand in hand. Usually you see people out there in they whatever respective teams they like, and they
Hmm.
outside dancing in their thing. Yes, there is a season, because there are, I want to say, 42 second line clubs,
It's
and
a lot.
there are new and upcoming clubs, so there
Clubs.
are more that's being added to this roster all the time. And
Hmm.
each club is supposed to take care of their community. That's why they're called social aid
Uh-huh.
clubs. The pleasure part is the second line part. When you see school giveaway, in the Easter basket giveaway, or just somebody doing something nice in private, and let's say one club might come together and they take care of this one family. That's the social aid of it. We take care
Right.
of our community. That's how we give back. And
Hmm.
the celebration from us giving back is we're gonna throw this big second line in this community so that everybody is able to see and participate in it. So it's still a respect thing. It's still giving back. And a lot of people don't see that side of it either. They think it's parties, parties, parties. No, we give parties, but these parties, we take this money and we try to do something that we can for the community. And it doesn't matter how small or how big, as long as you're able to do something. If it's making a donation, if it's helping with a child, if it's helping a family in need, that's what they're there for.
Right. And they got to realize that those parties that y'all throw during the year is just fundraisers to do
Yes,
other
they are,
stuff.
they are
So,
fundraising.
yeah, they so everybody see the party and everybody see the clothes and the outfits, but they don't see the bigger thing. So how you feel about that? Like we always have people complaining. I had somebody on one of the posts the other day under a comment said something negative about the second line. I posted a video. In fact, it was like yesterday. I posted a video of the second line, and somebody said, "Oh, they need to find jobs or something like that." How do you feel about the negative image that people have of people that second line?
Um, that's very controversial, because already as second liners, it's hard for us to find a job that's gonna give us off on a Sunday. So you're already taking a chance with saying, well, I'm gonna work for these people and I'm gonna work these hours. People who do not, again, who don't understand the history of it, and even if they do understand the history of it, to them it's not important, and not, that's just their personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the culture is in the circle. It has the small circle that it has, because this culture is important to us. And
Right.
that's why we're called culture bearers,
Mm.
because we are bearing this culture. We're taking a burden on our back of this culture to try to pass it down to the next generation, so that they can continue to do this. And this is where, again, the culture is going to die. We have jobs. How y'all think we pay for this stuff? This stuff not
Exactly.
this stuff is not cheap. We not just giving fundraisers to take y'all money to pay for our stuff to parade in. No, this is the money that we take, and we take care of the community with. The stuff
Mm-hmm.
that we parade in, we got to pay for that out of our own pocket, even still. And you have to be able to be financially stable. And there are times when I could not hit the streets. It's been time when I had trouble hitting the streets, because you still have a life, you still have responsibilities. But me personally, I take the culture of my city seriously. So therefore, I feel like this is where I belong. This is my freedom. This is my spiritual freedom. And this is where my spirit gets fed. So I feel like I'm doing justice by giving back and continuing to feed that into the next generation.
Okay. And speaking of the next generation, how do you feel about the next generation? You think they will be able to carry it on?
Oh, I think we got some hard hitters out here.
You
I
do.
not just in dancing. I mean, that's really trying to educate themselves and really learn what they're doing. I have four kids who are involved in the culture. I have two, well, really three. I have three boys that play in brass band. One of my sons, he mass Indian, and then I have a daughter who mass Indian as well. And if you sit down and you talk to her, she can tell you why she does it. If you
Mm.
sit down and you have a conversation with my son, he's able to regurgitate what he's learned. He's able to tell you why he does it and what it means to him. And then they also play brass band music. So they're in it on both sides, and they paraded before as well. They paraded with the grasshoppers on this year.
Mhm.
But they only wanted to do it once. They more into the Indian side of it. They want to focus on that. So they
Mhm.
fell in love with that side, and I applaud them for it. But musically, they're on the streets a lot. If you see Herb and Josh is the one who plays the trumpet. He's about maybe 4'11", but he's 10 years old. But when you hear him play, he
Mhm.
plays like he could sit with the grown men.
Mm.
And Herb, he's 16. He plays the trombone, and they both play into Never Stop Brass Band. They're both members of Recreations Brass Band. And if you see them out, you'll see them playing with Hot 8, TBC, The Truth, Big Six. They all, as you know, us being the culture bearers, they're all trying to scoop these children under their wings in different ways to make sure that they've been taught right and that they have what they need to carry it on. And there's a lot of kids out who are really, really big names. Princeton, um,
Mhm.
Kanai, Omir, Remy, J5, JJ, you got Mendel, I'm trying to think who else. Lyric. It's so many, but
It's a lot.
Those are the ones, and Lexi too. Those are the ones that I'm really close with, and who I have, you know, regular interactions with them. But there's still some. Oh, T. Darrell. We can't forget about T. Darrell. He was the
Mhm.
first kid
Yep.
as a kid
As a
and
baby
for Uptown Swingers. So kudos to him for that.
in a wagon. I remember that.
Yep, his mom really made it happy for him. So you can't forget about him. But it's still so many others who's been out here, like Young Rollers. They were a big club. The YMO have their kid division.
Mhm.
The Men Buck Jumpers have their kid division. So each club, old style, new style, they have that. It's so many things. They have a lot out here. It's 63 steppers, Trigger Black, and
Mhm.
9 times have they division with Zell, and I think Wayne is also a part of that. So they like everybody is family. Like we all just like we trying our best to teach them the right way. But family first, families
Of
are,
course.
and we just have to teach them that it's the right way to do things as the adults, and that's part of being a culture bearer too. I think that these children are big hitters and heavy hitters, hard hitters, and they're needed. And I do think that they're ready to pass it down.
They definitely are. And I will say this generation, as in the older people, they did an excellent job with those babies because those kids, I don't know all their name. I know Princeton because that's my son. That's my friend's son. So I
Uh-huh.
know Princeton. I know T. Dad. Well, I don't know him, but I know him from the second line world. But I've been watching him since he was small. He always smiling, and he could dance
Yep.
his little butt off. I love watching those kids because they just. And what's the little one name? I think Cuddy his name.
Yeah, that's connect.
I just love him. They're so cute. I love all those kids. I love to watch them because they all could dance, and then they really be into that world.
Yeah.
They turn into new little people. I was looking at Princeton yesterday when he was dancing, and I said, just look at his face. It's just he's so serious with it. He's just so. Those kids are how they say they didn't been here before. Them kids feel
Yeah.
like they got all different
Yeah.
spirits.
That's the ancestors that,
Yeah.
because that's not, those children are not the same before and after a second line if you pay attention.
You're
They
right.
get better and better every time. When you see them, they humble, but the kids gonna be kids. They still like to play and talk and
Mm-hmm.
joke around, but when that music turn on,
That's it.
a
I saw.
whole different
I'm trying
story.
to remember what parade. I can't remember what parade I was at. We was on St. Charles. I saw Jay Weeby's son. I saw Lil Jay
That's
and
just
him
fine.
and Princeton was playing. I was like, and then you forget these are kids, but they just playing. I'm like, these are children, but because when you see them dancing, it's
They
just
so serious.
they so serious. And I'm like,
They
I
are
forget that that's children. The way they was playing, I said, look at them, really like actually, and I was happy to see that. But I'm not gonna lie, this community, we did a really, I'm saying we, but they did a really good job with those children. I do think that they are ready to take it and pass it on. They definitely can hold it
I'm
down.
telling you, look, they done moved me to the side a couple of times. And then, come on, Auntie, you got to dance. Look, I can't keep up with y'all. Y'all got it.
So how do you feel about, I know they always talk about the people in the ropes. How you feel about all when they be having, because you actually second line. So when y'all have all them different people in y'all rope that's not, that's not supposed to be there.
Usually only the photographers are allowed, and we
Okay.
as a group discuss what photographers are allowed in the
Okay.
and which ones are not. But they have to understand that to be able to parade inside those ropes is $10,000+
Mm.
people pay money for that. The city thrives off of this. This is
Yeah.
a big income for the city of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
So it is disrespectful for you to come inside of somebody's ropes and you have
Mm-hmm.
not paid any money. That it is. And
Yeah.
you can't get upset because somebody's saying, hey, y'all don't come in the ropes. Now
Mm-hmm.
dance alongside the ropes and stuff like that, that's fine. But you don't get in front of nobody ropes or go in the ropes. That's disrespectful. That
Yeah.
lets them know that you don't care for who they are, or you look better than them. That's a challenge, in other words. And it's a million reasons
Mm-hmm.
why people would feel like that's the part of the culture that I don't like. That
Mm-hmm.
petty competition with each other.
Yeah.
That's some things that we really have to work on, because these are the things that next generation is also watching. But you have to
Mm-hmm.
teach them and show them. If you see my children out there dancing, you'll notice. I tell them, don't go in their ropes. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Have to tell them. And people have to understand that when they in this culture, when you have another culture bearer that's trying to show them the right way, it's nothing personal. We just want to teach them the right way, because one day they're going to be the teacher. So
Mm-hmm.
it's disrespectful, and it costs a lot of money for them ropes, but it also keeps that group safe, because if we get into that crowd and mingle into that crowd and something happens, at the end of the day, my member is my top priority. That's my role.
Right.
I know that these people in this rope are safe, and that's also with the bank. If something happened, hey, we could stop. The grandma
Mm-hmm.
stop. The ropes closed off and the band can walk off. Like, we still have to understand that this is New Orleans, and unfortunately, there are some unforeseen things that happen. So you do have to prepare, and there's kids out here, there's elderly out there. So in order to protect that group and to let you know what place is parading, those ropes, those people pay for those ropes. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's disrespectful. It is.
Right. Now, I'm glad you said that too about this is New Orleans. And I know sometimes we do have incidents that happen and stuff, but for the most part, I don't feel that second lines are dangerous. People always make those little comments and talk about how bad second lines are, but I always try to remind them that the stuff that usually happens are usually at the end, or it's usually away from the second line, and then the second
Yeah,
line always
it's
get the bad credit.
inside of the neighborhood.
Yeah, and then
It's
they blame the
always
second
at
lines.
the end, when people are gathered in that one spot and the band is gone and the music turns off, and everybody hot, tired, they breathing hard, breathing heavy, sticky. I don't want you to touch me type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we as adults have to really grow up,
Yeah.
and we have to take accountability for that. We have to take accountability for showing that to our children. And I'm not going to sit here and say that second lines are dangerous, because they're not. Because we could be on the streets for 4 hours and nothing happens.
Anything.
Nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
the minute that music turn off, it's a situation. And it's not always the parade goers or the
Mm-mm.
paraders. It's the outside people from the neighborhoods and stuff like that. And that's
Yep.
the bad part of it.
It is, and a lot of us, like they say, we all kind of like a little family. We all do things like I bring my children out there, so I really don't think it's dangerous. I just think that first of all, in this city, anything could happen at any point. You know what I'm saying? But for people to make those comments that they always make about the second lines, like it's just so
That's
bad, I'm like,
because those are personal statements. Something
mm,
probably has personally happened to them or a family member, loved one, and the second line was involved. We all know about the mass shooting. Those guys wasn't supposed to be out there. They did that. They planned that to happen
mm,
like that because they were cowards.
mm,
And we'll talk about that later when we get into the system and all of that stuff. But as far as the culture is concerned, it's not the people that's in the culture. It's not the second lines. It's what's going on outside of those second lines. But the second lines that are happening is actually the time when the least things happen in the city as well.
yeah, that's true. It is the lead because we're not doing nothing like that. And the good thing about the kids, all them for the most part get along. So I don't see all that bickering going into the future because all those kids, they second line with 40. If we got 42, they second line with almost all 40 of them groups. So those kids get along with each other. They all the bands kind of getting along now because they play with each other all the time. So I think some of that is gonna die down. Some of that pettiness may die down soon.
Yeah. Um, the thing is like those children, they don't have any. I'm not gonna say they don't have no friends outside of that, but they don't relate to a lot of other kids who are
Mm,
outside of this culture.
mm,
So they only have each other to really depend on. You know, they have a post that says, I don't care who my mama related to, but I pick my own cousins.
mm-hmm,
And they pick each other as their circle and as their own family, and they've created their own bond. And I think we could learn a lot from them with that as well. Because I can go to school and talk about second line, second line, second lines, and y'all don't even you never been or
right.
don't care to go. So, you know, I'm gonna talk to the people who was like, yeah, girl, we had fun. You seen him? He was dancing on the car, and did you see him or did you see Princeton? Yeah, he was rolling all over the ground. Nobody understand them
Mm-hmm.
except for each other. So that's the good thing that they have. And when you have these type of bonds, these are the bonds that last forever. They started so young with each other. They grew up together. They're growing up together. They want to do the same things. Everybody want to go to the same kind of colleges. Everybody want to do the same thing. I want to be in the band. I want to play. Or the girls saying I want to be dancers. They are creating and manifesting for themselves where they're gonna go, and they have that so that they don't have to get this keeps them out of trouble.
Out of trouble. You're
It
right.
keeps them busy. It gives them something to do, and it's pretty much free unless you're going inside the road because it don't cost nothing to come outside on a Sunday.
Outside
It
at
don't cost
all.
nothing.
At
You
all.
if you got food stamps, you can get you a couple of bottles of water at on the store or something.
Right.
You don't gotta eat what's out there. You would look. We know how to make it out here. And if you
Facts.
don't, I'll tell you in the next segment. But this culture, we need this culture for these kids, but we also need this for ourselves because
Yeah.
we need a break from everything else that's going on. This is not this is not normal. The terms that we're living in this city, but this culture brings that one thing that's normal to us that we all grew up saying, all grew up being around,
Mm-hmm.
all heard the music, we all seen our parents going out on Sundays and doing these different. So now this is the one thing that's holding it together. And if we
Mm-hmm.
don't have this, then we don't have nothing.
You're right. And in fact, we can actually talk about the other stuff because this definitely is related. That is related. So we also want to talk about like domestic abuse, juvenile justice, what's going on with these kids. Tamika, tell them how many kids you have.
I have 8 children.
8. And how old is the oldest?
My oldest is 21.
Okay, 21. And the baby?
The baby is 5. She'll be 6 on September the 4th.
Okay. All right. So you have experience dealing with children, with juveniles as far as kids. So I know you said you had some issues going on. So can you tell us a little about what you wanted to discuss?
Yes, most definitely. Unfortunately, you can try to shelter your children a lot of the things that are going on in the city as far as the crime and violence. And when you have multiple children, like I do, sometimes one of them is just gonna slip. So I had a 14-year-old who was out there in the streets, and she's a girl. Her name is Anna. She started when she was 12 with the running away, the being combative, the not going to school, choosing the wrong type of friends. That's what it started as. I started seeing a pattern of her choosing the wrong type of friend.
Mm.
So my initial reaction as a parent was, I gotta buckle down. So when I buckled down on her, she was already rebellious. It made her even more rebellious. So now at 13, I'm dealing with her walking out with her not coming home, and she will be gone for weeks at a time. I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm going to my house and go sleep over there so we can cool off. I mean, this child was gone for weeks at a time. I call in OPD, they wouldn't come to the next day. We talking about a 13-year-old little girl on the street. I call NOPD, they come the next day. Oh, well, all we do is take down the report. I'm like, well, when y'all gonna start looking for her? Like, oh, well, we don't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
They don't get out and look for kids who ran away. They just take a report. And the report is only taken so that the parent cannot be held liable for whatever the children are doing when they are not in your presence and they've left the house without your permission. I want to say ran away January. She was gone. She didn't come back until the middle of February. She didn't
Wow.
want to and go to school. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you. Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to follow the rules. She left again in March. She was arrested for stolen car,
Oh wow.
possession of 28 grams of marijuana, um, a gun,
Oh.
robbery, and two felony thefts. Whatever. Plus being run
Oh, you said a felony?
a felony.
Ooh.
The day that she got arrested, that was the first night I had slept in almost a year and a half. Because I knew she was safe.
Yeah, so she
For
was
the most
safe.
part, she was in one spot, wasn't out on the streets. It was the people that I knew in the culture who was trying to help me with my daughter, talking to her, if they saw her, if they fed her. And I was so grateful for that because we've gotten away from it takes a village.
A village.
I've had a lot of backlash about the type of parent I was. Oh, I'm too strict and I don't let her do this and I don't let her do that. Well, didn't I didn't understand that because I didn't go through that with my older two, and my older two are girls.
Mm.
So this was all new to me. But the thing that she was saying, a lot of it was social media type of stuff I was noticing because she really couldn't tell the difference between reality and what
Mm.
I took her to Children's Hospital. They kept her for maybe 2 days and was like, not nothing wrong with her. She got behavior problems. Take her back home. Took her back home. She was cutting herself. I took her back to the hospital. The doctor sent her home the same day.
No.
The doctor said it's not nothing wrong with her. She's doing that for attention. So I'm like, well, if she's doing this for attention, you don't think that that's a problem with her mental
Right.
within itself? What she says, she don't want to kill herself. She just wants somebody to pay attention to her. So I bring her back home. She go to school. She have an episode at school called the crisis situation. But me, it was she didn't want to do her work. She wanted to leave. So they called NOPD. NOPD took her in the crisis unit. We went back to Children's Hospital. At this time, I have the principal and the social worker at the school, and she can't come back to school without a psychiatric evaluation. The doctor pulled the glass on her nose. She looked at the principal. She looked at me and said, "Well, she not psychiatric evaluation here because the hospital don't do that." She said, "So you can take her and schedule her appointment for her to get mental services, and they will give her a psychiatric evaluation, but we don't." They discharged 2 days later, was gone, and that's when she caught. That's when she caught the charges. So the whole time, and she was in Orleans Parish, they was telling me they couldn't, they didn't have them. It was Jefferson Parish the whole time. Jefferson Parish came on the news. I want to say a week or so before she got arrested and said any kids coming from Orleans, coming back here stealing cars, doing,
Mm-hmm.
we have some, oh, and we would no mercy. This girl car lot, so the car, other children. The boy took charge for the, that was his gun, so charge ended up getting dropped. The marijuana charge ended up getting dropped. Only charge was two felony deaths, and they gave her 2 years in Paris. Right now, she's Coshada, Louisiana, to wear you for 2 years.
She got 2 years.
2 years.
Wow.
I don't know how long the children got happened with them because when they co they keep all separate and you're not each other and stuff like that. So I don't know what happened. I know she was sentenced to 2 years.
Wow. So what make do you know what makes them give them a felony as opposed
When
just a regular?
when it's over a certain amount. So let's say you go into the store and you steal a pack of bubble gum. They can't really give you a charge for that. They could take it away and say, "Hey, we saw you," and then let you go. Anything over $5,000, you are going to jail. And
And
the
I guess that's in Jefferson, but I've had experience in New Orleans with this with similar situation where
police,
I had to go. My son had a warrant for his arrest. I
mm,
had to go turn him in to the police station, the
mm,
one back there off of Milton Street.
yeah,
When we went back there, the lady was like, she basically didn't even want him. She was like, "What do you want it for?" She was like, "Oh, well, you could just bring him back home." And I was like, "Well, no, he wanted. I want to make sure he get turned in because I don't want the people coming to my house and all that stuff. I want to turn him in." Basically, she said unless they do something violent, they're not keeping them in jail. So she sent us right back home.
Orleans Parish is a joke when it comes to juvenile justice. Let's just say
Man, yeah, they got it's
Jefferson
Orleans.
Parish is totally different because I could have signed Naya out of Jefferson Parish, but the judge looked at me and was like, "I don't think she deserved to go home. So I'm gonna revoke this bind and you're gonna leave her here. And you could go home, mom.
Mm.
I want you to go get some sleep." It was only Jefferson Parish that was hearing what I was saying. And do you know when I told them everything that I had went through in Orleans Parish, she said, "Yeah, that's pretty much the story that we've been getting from all the other parents with the kids that's coming over from Orleans." Orleans Parish does not care about these children.
Nope.
They
And
do
then
not. They
and they
are
always
putting
gonna
them.
blame the parents, but they don't realize that a lot of us, and I'm glad you on here telling this story because a lot of us really try. We go through all kind of stuff and we literally do not
NOP
get any help.
from the 5th district, an officer from 5th district and the 7th district on two separate occasions when I needed to call NOPD told me I was down bad for raising my child in the city of New Orleans because this is not a place to raise children. So I got scolded for raising my kids in New Orleans because I know better and that I should take my kids and leave. I said, "Well, sir, how am I supposed to leave?" "Oh, we could give you $500. That'll help you relocate." I say, "So where I'm supposed to stay with $500? Where we supposed to go? It's 7 of us in this house." So what is your $500 gonna do? I let them know that I had some little boys who was with my daughter. They was sitting outside my house with guns every day. They was threatening my son. They was doing all kind of stuff. So when I would call the police, they was like, "Well, we can't prove that it's them." I'm like, "What? We can't prove that it's them, so we can't do anything." All parents are not bad parents because their child has succumbed to peer pressure. You
Right.
know, that doesn't make you a bad parent, and it does not speak to your parenting. And
Right.
I've had a lot of backlash, and I've had a lot of people tell me how bad of a mother I am. But how bad of a mother can I be when I'm doing the best I can with the resources that I have?
Yeah.
I had to make a decision. Okay, the rent here is so high, right? I usually work 2 or 3 jobs. I had to quit 2 of my jobs because I had to choose whether to be present
Right.
for my children or just make sure the bills paid and they raise themselves. So I'm not gonna sit here and fake the funk, but we struggle a lot financially because I'm still a mother and I still have to raise my kids. I just can't leave my children and I can't account for what they do 24/7. I can't raise them through the phone.
Right.
Because that's what they are expecting us to do is raise these kids through the phone. Like all of these people that came and bought this property after Katrina and got these Airbnbs and had the rent was already sky high because the city had to recover from
Mhm.
Katrina, but things have just gotten ridiculous. Like it's hard to have a family.
Right. And let me tell you this, back to the children's hospital situation. I had the same problem with them, but they kept him for, I think, one time like a week and then one time like 5 days. So the next time when I was having issues, because really, to be honest with you, you can't get nothing from the police. So the only person that almost can help us is the hospital, trying to get them some mental health. Because that's really what it is mental
It
health.
is.
So let me tell you. So I didn't want to do children because he had just got released from children. So I found what's that one in Elmwood? There's another
Riverside.
one. River, that one. I called them, right? So I call them, I tell them my problem. They're like, okay, bring him. I brought him there one night about 9 o'clock at night. I sat there. They took forever to come to us. I guess they like whatever. They just kind of ignored us. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna, leave him here because I'm assuming that they're gonna keep him. So I left because at Children's, when your child over like 15 or so, you can't even be in a room sometimes. So anyway, I
Right.
left. When I made it home, they started calling me on the phone. I'm like, what they calling me for? And they like, oh, you need to come get your son. I'm like, come get him for what? I'm like, I just brought him there. He needs help. He needs to stay in there. They like, no, you need to come get him. I'm like, all right. So I said, I'm gonna come in the morning because it's like 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. And I'm like, you calling me at 2 o'clock to come back out there? So I'm like, I'm not coming. So by the morning time, I say, well, let me go call around and see if I can find somewhere else because I found out that Auction has a program too. So
Yeah.
as I'm trying to call to find out, they keep calling me. Do you know that they called child protection on me?
Oh yeah, they called them on me too.
Yeah,
'Cause
I have a they just closed the case. I have an abandonment case.
they told me that it was something going on with me and something going on in the house as to why she solely alone was acting up. I said, so you telling me that the rest of my children are jeopardized because she wants to be disrespectful and disobedient?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is like a spit in the face because you're telling us as parents we're not doing our job, right? But when I start to do my job, now that's a problem. So it gives the kids a way to combat what their parents are saying. So really, the children have more control than the parents do. And it's really our fault because I feel like our generation of 80s babies, we became afraid of this system.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so now it's like we don't want them to take our kids away because we're not bad parents, right? We're
Right.
trying to do the best that we can, but you're steady critiquing me on every little thing that I do. So I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Like, what do I do at this point? But at this point, I'm crying out to you, asking you for help, and you saying there is no help. So how do you tell me that I'm wrong for doing what I feel like is right for my child, and you can't help me?
Right.
What we need to do? We're not the only mothers going through this.
No.
I know several of them personally.
Yep.
Talked to two through Instagram who went through the same thing, and it only was because of the knowledge that I had from going through this that helped them get their child back.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm glad you said it, because when I got my case, when they opened the abandonment case on me for bringing him to the hospital to get help, they told me that I would lose my other two children.
Because if you're not fit to raise him, you're not fit to raise
Can't
the
raise
other
any
two
of them. You're
as
right, and
well.
that's why I get so upset with people. I'm always fussing on Facebook when they say, "Oh, get the parents, arrest the parents, arrest the parents." You can't always say that, because these kids, me personally, I think they make their own decisions. They need to be punished, because you're gonna take my children from me, or you're gonna take me to jail because my one child doing something wrong, and then you're gonna make two more kids need a mother.
This is the thing though. Everybody who's saying arrest the parents haven't been through this.
Exactly.
Everybody who's saying arrest the parents don't even have children. So how can you tell me what I'm unfit to do? I go back and forth with DCFS right now today, because you sending in 24, 25-year-old kids who don't have kids, and they're trying to tell me based on a book that they read in class how to raise my kids, or what you feel like is fit for them. We are raising children in the city of New Orleans. This is not a gentle parenting city.
Definitely not.
You cannot gently parent your children here, because the fact of the matter is that they could go to the bus stop, somebody could be riding up the street shooting, and they're not going to care about your feelings. So I need to raise my kids in a tougher environment, and then I need to be a tougher parent, because I have to prepare them for these different scenarios. I got to prepare them on, you got to duck. If somebody tell you get down, you get down. If you got to crawl under a car, we're teaching them how to survive their life at 7 and 8 years old. They're learning how to defend themselves from gunfire, and then it's rapid gunfire. This is not nothing we not beefing with nobody. This is just the city that we lived in. But what DCFS, the state of Louisiana, Governor John Bell Edwards, the Latoya Cantrell, and everybody else who has something to do with the Orleans Parish School Board and everything else, what they need to think about is the platform that you have given these kids to control your household are the same ones that is committing the juvenile crime. If you just turn the power back over and release that power back to the parents' hands for me to discipline my child as I see fit for that child, because we also have to talk about the fact that each kid have a different personality. Will
Of
work for
course.
one, will not work for the other one. So you can't tell me that there's a flat way to raise kids when you're teaching them that everybody got their own mind, everybody have their own personality. So I'm the first one to get to know this kid. I'm the one that spends 24 hours a day through 65 with them. So I know when they're lying. I know when they're really sick. I know when they're really tired. I know when they're happy. I know when they sad. I know this because I feel this as a parent. You have no spiritual, emotional, or no connection with them, but you telling me I'm a bad parent. No, y'all are bad leaders for allowing things to go the way that they have gone for so long, and now it's enough is enough. We can't even get the kids across the stage at a graduation without one of them being shot, without them fighting with each other. Like let's be honest and let's be real. Let's really talk about this if we want to talk about it. This
Right.
this is ridiculous. And if it not had been for the culture, I don't know where I would be mentally,
Right.
because that was my support.
Yeah, it's definitely a much needed break. I remember I was having a fuss. I was fussing. That was Monster. I was talking with Monster on Facebook, and Monster was like, "Well, people need to stop having all them kids if they can't take care of them, or if they can't control them, whatever." I said, "Well, Monster, what you want them to do? Put the children back? Once they here, they here. What we gonna do with them? They here. So all we can do is try. The kids not always bad. They start out being good, and then all of a sudden there's like a switch. What do you think? When did you first notice about your daughter that she was
Once she
switching
got
and
to middle
becoming?
school, peer pressure.
Mm,
When she got to middle school, I'm a little bit older fashioned because my grandmother raised me. Okay, my grandma raised me, and my grandma did not play like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's the certain things, and everything is age appropriate, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you asking me to wear hair down your back and lashes, and you 12 and 13 years old, and I'm telling you, no, that's not cool for a young lady to do. Like, you a young girl, you just now learning how to take care of your body, just now getting into having a cycle administration. Like, what do you feel like? Who you trying to attract with lashes and hair? But then
Mm-hmm.
I go to the school and it's 25 other little girls in her class
Everybody.
with wigs down their back, lashes that's curling up more than mine, and everybody got braces. It's like they all look the
The
same.
same.
It's robotic. Like, and I'm trying to teach but I'm wrong for trying to teach my child to love herself, whether she's bald headed or whether she got her hair down her back, or if she have on makeup or don't have on makeup. But at 12, 13 years old, like, the children are not in competition with each other. The parents are.
Mm.
The parents are in competition with each other because it's like, if you can't do these things for your child, this make you a bad parent.
Right.
So now that you've taught your child that, your child is coming to my child saying, "Oh, your mama abusing you because she won't let you get nails long, or she won't let you have a boyfriend." Like, this is not nothing that we should be talking about in middle school. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Everybody have a crush. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
the age that y'all should be saying, "Oh, I like this boy," and I'm
Right.
gonna be like, those different type of things. But y'all really, like, got these little girls out here like they advertising themselves to grown men. So now she think it's something wrong with me
Right.
because I'm trying to teach her not to do these things. It's the same thing with my son. See, when them skull things with the pandemic fucked everything
Uh-huh.
up. Oh, excuse me, they messed
Uh-huh.
everything up
Uh-huh.
because they walking around with these poo shiesty
Two
masks,
shiesty mess.
all of this, and like, that's not cool. Like, that's giving you away. That means that you're trying to hide yourself from something. If somebody, that's why we have a lot of mistaken identity out here, because the
Mm-hmm.
boys feel like it's cool to walk around with a shiesty mask on, and it's 115 degrees outside. Tell me why an 11-year-old needs a damn pool shiesty mask. Like, explain that to me. But us
Mm-hmm.
as parents, we allowing it because it's just fashion, or that's just the trend. No, the parents
Mm-hmm.
are in competition with each other. If we stop competing with each other and create that village like we all had that nosy Miss Marcy who was gonna tell the mama everything, and we couldn't
Uh-huh.
stand her. Oh, we couldn't stand her. Oh, y'all, here come Miss Marcy. We gotta go on the other side of the street, or we gotta go somewhere because she gonna tell everything. That
Mm-hmm.
it saved a lot of children's lives.
It.
It stopped us from doing a whole lot of things that we didn't have no business doing. And if we don't have that, nobody want you to tell their kids anything. So if I see your child playing in the street, I'm just supposed to let them play in the street, and then I see a car coming and let them get hit, instead of saying, "Get your butt out that street. You
Uh-huh.
see that car coming." But then the parent is, "Don't tell my baby nothing. If
Uh-huh.
they want to play in the street, they could play in the street." So I'm
Right.
supposed to come get you to get your child out the street, and I see your child in immediate danger. That makes me less of an adult. That makes me less human.
Right.
You're asking us to not be human.
Right.
How are we supposed to survive like that?
And that's another thing. And I'm glad, like, that's all these are good points. We got the situation with the city and the state with them just being poor leaders. And then we need to stand up more like you're doing. And we need to call out the bad, like you said, the bullshit. Call out the bullshit as we see it, because they got a lot of parents who allow stuff that they shouldn't allow. You know, if you got it, you got it. But I see kindergartners going to school with Gucci shoes on. So it's like, then you got other kids looking like, oh, and then that's all these kids wear. I'm
And
like,
and you're the best that you can to make sure that you have a rule. I had to break it down to my kids like this. I could buy y'all all that. I could, but what we gonna sleep?
that part.
What we gonna eat? How the lights gonna stay on?
Right.
Each one of these shoes is $1,000 a piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if each one of y'all walking around with $1,000 pair of shoes, how y'all gonna eat? Add them $1,000 up.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yep.
would never be able to have nothing. Everybody's household is not the same. Everybody is not on Section 8. Everybody don't live in the project.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is, like going through the, and that's no pun intended. I'm just saying our bills are
Right. Right. That's true.
my bills are different. I pay rent out my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't afford to buy you $1,000 pair of shoes and my rent $1,500. I just can't afford to do that.
Right.
So you can make me feel bad because you can't wear a pair of Alexander McQueen or whoever he is, or
Mm-hmm.
what's the other boy name with a boy P, um Balenciaga.
Balenciagas.
Yeah, him. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't even own a pair of those. I could see if I owned them and you saw me walking around in them, but I don't even own that. And if I could, I probably wouldn't even spend my money on that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just being, and it's no pun intended because some parents can't afford that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just asking that we really think about what we programming children into feeling like this is cool. I don't want generational wealth for y'all. I'm still trying to
Right.
buy a house and make sure that if I pass away, that this house can forever be y'all. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have time to be worrying about no $1,000 pair of shoes. Look, y'all like Jordans and G Nikes, and that's hard enough.
Right, that's expensive. And see, to me, that's really the only problem with it. I don't have, because I like nice stuff, but I stopped buying it because I don't want my kids, because I saw how they were turning, and I was like, you know what, I'm wearing the stuff, so they're looking at it, they think they're supposed to wear it, but I'm the one with the job. But anyway, the reason why I say the kids don't need it, because you got to work your way up. You can't just start at 5 years old wearing Gucci, because if you got Gucci this year, what you gonna wear next year? If you wearing Gucci every year, I ain't gonna be able to buy you no Nikes when school start. You ain't gonna want that. You're gonna be looking at me like, what is that? Like, there's some shoes, but no, they want their Gucci, they want, all kinds of stuff. And it's like, if you can't keep it up, not like for those that could keep it up, more power to them. But I just think that we need to, even if you can afford it, just be careful, like with what you getting your children, because you got to keep in mind what you teaching them, and that's we
But
all got to take
it also
responsibility.
also creates problems for those kids
Yeah,
because now you're creating a child that has a God complex.
yeah, and
You
you're right.
you're telling other children y'all broken, you don't have nothing, and your parents ain't nothing because they can't buy you this, and I'm in here fresh every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not teaching them morals and values anymore, and it's turning them into entitled little kids. And when you turn them into these entitled children and you have taught them that is another reason why we have 13 and 14-year-old kids out here who feel like they need to rob, steal, and kill because they got to continue
Keep it
with
up.
putting on this persona for life because you've instilled this
Mm-hmm.
in them.
Yeah.
So now they feel like they're not worthy if something happened to the point so well you can't afford this no more because the bigger they get, the shoes get more expensive.
More expensive.
So
You're
now
right.
you can't buy the $60-$70 shoes no more for them.
Mm-hmm.
You really having to spend $400-$500 on a pair of shoes plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because even Nikes is not cheap, Jordans
No.
is not cheap, and you can't spend. I know on mine they got big feet. My 16-year-old in a size 7, so
Mm.
that's $200 off the dump
Just that.
just
Mm-hmm.
to just for him to have a nice pair of shoes.
Right.
So if we're not teaching those other children that, yeah, it's okay to have nice things, or hey, if you buy those nice things, don't send them to school with them on. That's why a lot of schools went to the Under
Yeah.
Armour shoes, and the Under Armour shoes is even expensive, but the uniforms is expensive.
It
Like
is.
let's talk about it. I'm paying $30 for one shirt.
Yeah, the stuff is, and guess what? I made a post about the line at that store in Gentile. The line was out the door, and the people just got to line up outside, which I hate that they make them people line up outside like that. But half the people on my page was like, "Oh, well, they shouldn't wait to why they wait to the last minute." You don't understand. Sometimes when people on a fixed income, that's the way you got to shop. You shop when it's time for you to get whatever it is you need. And I brought my son 5 pair of pants for school, and guess what? He showed me the day where his pants is short. And that's more money I gotta come
Grow.
up with.
Kids grow. Let's just be real.
Right.
How they are built over the summer may not be how they are built when school starts. So they
Mm-hmm.
gain weight, they might lose weight, they might get taller, their feet might grow. So for me, that's unethical to go buy uniforms 4-5 months in advance when in 4-5 months you're gonna change.
Yep.
So I need to be able to match what you are now and then estimate how you're gonna grow when you get older. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when time comes
When it's
for
time for
school to
school.
start, and then I'm trying to predict how you're gonna be built during the winter time. That's why a lot of parents don't shop during the winter. It's not that we don't have money; our daily life still continue. But with me, I can speak for me. I have kids in all type of sizes, and all of them grow different.
Yeah.
So I have to be able to accommodate that. I can't send the tiniest one in super big clothes because then that's gonna ring bells too. Or they don't never have no clothes that fit the right way. So exactly what am I doing wrong? Because I'm doing what's best for my household.
Yeah. It's hard. Like it's just really hard for parents because it's like whichever way we turn to try to get some kind of help, there is none. What you think about the school system?
I think it's a bunch of garbage. I feel like we have let our kids down there first because we are not the type of parents to sit down and really go to these school board meetings. It's no way we should be a fully chartered school system, not have a parish school board. That is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
This lottery stuff is ridiculous. This
Man.
one app stuff is ridiculous. That's causing a lot of problems and stuff too because you have children who don't live in that area who getting booked
Mm-hmm.
37 o'clock in the morning
Yep.
and they not even on this side because we trying to play a pick and choose game with which school is the best school when really all of them trash.
That
Are
part.
creating a faster way for the school to jail pipeline. That's real.
It is.
If y'all don't know what the school to jail prison pipeline is they treat the kids in school more and more like a prison so that they are used to prison so that they are not functional enough that when they graduate that they turn to crime and they end up in prison. Our kids are set up for jail. We are watching it happen on a day-to-day basis. And it's parents like me who don't have a voice or don't have enough voices to bind together to say that this is enough because it's not enough parents that even care.
And guess what? A lot of people think that that's not real, but I promise you, my little nephew was telling me a story one day and it blew my mind. He said, "Yeah, because we got in trouble, so we don't have recess for the whole month." I said, "No recess?" He said, "Yeah, and they have to eat cold lunch." Now this is a child. He don't know nothing about the prison, the pipe. He don't know nothing about any of that. And he don't know the cold lunch thing, but I know that's some jail stuff. You punishing these
First of
children by
all,
giving them cold lunch?
first of all, the kids walk in the door going through a metal detector. They walk through being searched.
Well, I went to John Mack, and they definitely searched. When I went to 35. I don't remember being searched, but at John Mack, he was definitely searched. Which high school you went to?
We got searched.
Which way where you went?
I didn't even go to school here.
Wow.
I got searched on a daily basis. And I want to say when my daughter started going to Carver, Maya graduated what 2020. So 2 years before she graduated, 2018, that's when they installed the metal detectors at Carver. I'm talking about in the new building. in that new building. It was 2018. They sit security officers in the front that
Mm-hmm.
like police.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's real. They teach us about everything except for ourselves. They don't teach us our history. They don't teach us, like my son was asking me about Haiti. He was like, "Would you rather be an African or a Haitian?" I said, "Well, son, if you really think about it, I'd rather be a Haitian. They the only ones who conquered the slavery.
Yeah, they fought
That's
back.
in history." I say that's why that country is so doing so badly right now, because they don't have any English
European. Uh-huh.
no European colonization in that country.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's considered to be a third world country. And he was like, "That's not true." He looked up the facts and he was like, "Dang, man, I ain't know that."
Yep.
These children learn less and less because they're not reading on the level that they're supposed to be reading on.
At all.
They they came with the Common Core stuff, but the Common Core is not even working for them.
No.
It's
Because the score is still going
all
down.
about how many. Okay, prisons are based on how many they get their income from, how many inmates they have.
Mm-hmm.
Schools right now are based on how many seats they could fill. The more
Mm-hmm.
they have filled, the more money they have coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So they already set that up. They take away the books, they insert the internet. I see more teachers during the daytime making TikTok videos with their students than the students probably learning.
That's a whole nother another thing for another day. I mean, listen, I guess they try to relate to them with any way they can, but whew,
But they make me feel like you my equal. Then you wonder why I
they
disrespect
don't
you.
listen.
Like I could put my hands on you.
That's right. That's right. It's just tough, and it's scary because it's like where the answer at, you know, like you said, we need more voices, more mothers need to come, not just mothers, more parents need to come together and try to fix this little situation, because you know, this is our situation, this is our kids, you know. I've never ever, even though we was the murder capital in 94, we never buried so many babies, so many children. We never had that many children doing the shooting either. Like
They
everybody always want to say, oh, we've been like this. No, back in the day they were shooting for drugs.
got killed on the service road yesterday. 15 and 11.
Oh.
The best that the man could do is pay for the funerals. Like,
Mm.
you're not really trying to reach the source of what the problem is, but the source of the problem is the poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can take the parents out of the home, then I can create havoc.
Mm.
So she has to fight for us as the parents. The governor has to fight to raise minimum wage. He just denied us another minimum wage this year when he got
Yeah.
when the law switched over during local election. He denied a raise for the state of Louisiana. So we still really can get paid 7.25. But
And the cost of living is up.
he gave everybody in office a raise. We have to pay attention to what's going on so we know exactly how to fight and when to say something.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if I'm not making the money for me to be available, then the city is based off of tourism and the culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most of the jobs that you have are over the weekend and during holidays. That's another way to keep the parents out of the home.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get the money while the money is good, and the money is only good during this season from August
Holidays.
to
Mm-hmm.
April. The summertime, that's why they say the murder rate skyrocket during the summertime,
Summer.
because a lot of more people are struggling in those
Mm-hmm.
3 months than they do the rest of the year. What are
Right.
we putting in place? She still haven't paid them kids from Noise. So the
Right.
kids that's doing the right thing and trying to do the right thing, and the parents who have put their kids in a position to make money for themselves, you're not even paying them.
Yeah, that's big.
Let's talk about it.
That's big. That's wrong. Them kids, and that's like what that's showing them. And it's also showing them they don't have no voice either.
It's
Because
showing them
they should have been
they
paid.
have no voice. It's showing them that they don't matter. It's showing them that we are liars. It's showing them that we don't have no accountability. It's showing them that we really are still slaves.
And it's showing that we don't care about them either. I don't
Because
know.
what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to take the money that I really go to work and, like, morally, what I would want to do is take my money that I go to work for. I'm sorry this happened to you, child, but here is your money that you worked so hard for. But then we in a hole because I want to fulfill my child's desire from them going to work. They probably was catching a bus, school buses, and city bus and everything. So
Right.
everything that I'm trying to teach them basically is a lie, because I'm trying to teach you to be an upstanding citizen. I'm trying to teach you how to have a job. I'm trying to teach you to go to work every day, and then y'all play with their money.
Right. Can't get mad when they go take it out somebody's car.
Come on now.
Whew, we got a lot. And we went on. In fact, this was a good conversation, because we could probably go on a whole another one, but I think we're gonna do another one, because there's a lot that we brought up and a lot that needs to be discussed. And I promise you, any money, once I put this out, there gonna be so many people that have comments and they want to say stuff, because this is a real good conversation. So I'm glad we left on that, because we're gonna get back. Definitely gonna get back, because we gotta make a difference. Somebody gotta stand up and say enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you. Thank you, Tamika, for coming on. And I promise you, I'm gonna send you another link, because we're gonna do this again. Because
No problem.
we gotta finish this conversation.
No problem. Anytime. I really enjoy myself. So now that I know your face, when I see you, I'll hold me a hug, because I somebody who know me, they be like, "Girl, I'm a hugger."
Okay.
I feel like when you have even exchange of positive energy,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't know what a person going through, and that one embrace may mean something to them.
Right.
So let's try to, the next time we'll talk about the domestic violence. We
Oh
didn't
yeah, because
that.
we definitely got to get that domestic violence, because we've been having a lot of women getting killed lately. So we got to get on that soon. I think I got to work. I got to go to Covington tomorrow, but I think later on in the week I'll be free. We're gonna get back on and we're gonna discuss all that too.
Okay, that sounds
All
great.
right.
Have a good one here.
All right. You too. Y'all have a good one.
All
See you
right, peace
later.
and love, peace and light.
Y'all, thanks for watching.